And we're back. Not sure if I'll show this with the other video I just made, but I just washed the NC. Yep. So I was gonna go take it for a quick spin through the hood. If I can get through this intersection. It's a dicky move, but this guy's got his light on. Turn light. Yeah, I'm too lazy to drive my bike, so I figure I'd just take it for a ride through the hood, get some fuel. So I had this bike, this excuse me, the gauge had to get replaced. So bike says I have 8,800 miles on it, and then I have another 3484. So I guess if you do the math there, that's maybe 12.2. I'll check it later if I post this video, but I can't remember what mileage I got the bike at. I'm gonna say maybe it had 3,000 miles or so on it when I bought it. I've had it for I guess over a year now. Really like this bike. It's not a jeez, what a dick move there. Not a thrill seeker bike, but it's fun enough. Get you where you're going. I really enjoy riding it. I really don't have any complaints for what kind of bike it is. I hate when people call it a beginner's bike. Yeah, it's not necessarily a beginner's bike. It's a good bike if you're not somebody that needs to have a bike that makes over 50 horsepower and looking for a bike that does good all-rounder. It's fun enough to ride in twisty stuff. It's good on fire roads. Probably be better if I had more aggressive tires on it. It's a great bike for commuting on. You got the frunk down here. That's that front storage compartment. I think it's like 22 liters. And then you got, I run, they're not Givi cases, they're Kappa. And I can't remember which ones they are, but again, I can post that in the video as well. Excuse me, got a fucking, I'm gonna try not to swear as much. Got a cold, and it's killing me this cold. But yeah, so the cases are nice too. A lot of people don't like cases, especially if you live in California, like I do, because it makes your bike wider for lane splitting. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of top boxes. I mean, for lane splitting and practicality, they're a lot better. But I don't know. I think they look pretty stupid most of the time. This bike did come with a Honda rear rack that would take a Honda top box, so it'd be as simple as just clicking one in if I wanted to get one. Probably major mods I did on it were aftermarket accessories. This bike also came with a higher windscreen, and I like the higher windscreen, but I like the way it looks. It provides more protection, but probably can't see the helmet I'm wearing. I'm wearing the new I think it's called the Shoei Hornet, and when I wear the visor on it, I get severe buffeting on this bike. We have 8 bikes in the garage, including this one, and I get buffeting on no other bikes other than this one. So for that helmet, I gotta take the visor off. So if I was gonna get an aftermarket windscreen, I would look for something different than this one. I also thought about putting one of those lips up on the top. Sorry, cough again. But yeah, again, I think they look kind of goofy, but if I can find one used, I might try it out. Okay, what else I put on this bike? I put some, what are they, South SW Motec crash guards on there, and a skid plate. I probably could have done without the crash bars, but I think the skid plate is super necessary. I've seen some guys, I haven't seen some guys. I met a guy that was trying to sell me a used one, and he cracked a portion of his engine case off from hitting a rock. So that was the first accessory I got. And then probably one of the last things I got, I put my Clearwater lights on here from a BMW that I wrecked. I love the Clearwaters. If I had enough money, I'd put them on every bike. I think they make you more visible and give you excellent visibility at night. Last thing I'd probably put on this bike is the Barkbuster Storms I put on, and I like them. I looked at some boards, and there was two schools of thought of how to put them on. One was to use the OEM bar inserts and just put a longer bolt, and one was to use the ones provided by Barkbusters. So I chose the latter route, and lo and behold, I get pretty bad vibrations in the bars. More serious than I think if I would have used the OEM. So I think I'm gonna at some point switch them out, put the OEM ones in, and see how that does. A few other things I did, not really a lot. I put a 12 volt charging port on, and I put a hookup for my Garmin GPS. I guess I have a Zumo 660 or 665, and that's one of the things I really love, that accessory. And let's see if anything else. I put a radiator guard on. I probably didn't need it, but I was ordering I think the guards, and I was like, might as well. So I put that on, and haven't any problems with the bike overheating or anything. So yeah, taking this bike a few places. I took it up the coast to Washington. That was a pretty long trip. Multi-day trip. Was able to get everything I needed in the cases, and dry bag on the rear rack and in the front. So yeah, like I said, again, really no complaints about this bike. Now I don't know if I'd buy one new, to be honest with you, because it seems like they really don't have a great resale value. So you can pick up a used one pretty cheap, and probably one that has a lot of aftermarket accessories on it. So anyway, get a cut out while I'm fueling up, and I'll continue my rant on the NC when I get back. Peace out. And we're back. So you can see I'm fueling up here. The fuel on the NC is in the rear, and as I spray gas all over. And yeah, I kind of like this feature, having it in the rear, because well, obviously you can't have one here because you have the frunk in the front, so that's why the tank's not there. But like on my BMW, I had a 650 twin, and it had rear fueling, but I like that a lot better because it was like right on the side, probably where you can see like my racks coming through. So it was a lot easier than filling up this this damn thing. This isn't terrible, but it can be pretty bad at times, especially if you get a possessed pump like this. I never understand why some pumps the gas comes out so damn fast, and others it's not so bad. So Yeah, so I guess one disadvantage potentially could be with this bike, and I've heard people say it, is when I'm putting my luggage on or I'm going on a trip, I only put stuff on the rear rack back here. If you wanted to put something on the seat, you'd have to pop it off for when you're getting gas. Now, is that a huge deal? I'm not really sure. If you have a tank bag, you got to take your tank bag off if you have a standard type of bike. So that kind of is a pain in the ass as well. So there's also an aftermarket accessory or part that changes this seat into a rear rack, and then it also has a spot over here so you could fuel without having to open the seat up. So I guess while I'm here, excuse me, coughing like a demon, that's the rear rack. You can see the Givey case holders, even though I'm running Kappa bags, same company. Well, the other thing I put on is these larger foot pegs. Those are really nice, allow me to stand up. We'll give you turn the bike on. People think I'm crazy, so I'm sitting here, give you a look at the bike from the front. I like to run one or two different clear waters just to be different. A yellow and a white. I don't know, it just looks cool, I think. There's the SW Motec skid plate and crash bars. You can see the racks in the rear, the Storms, the radiator guard. And one other thing I did put on was Triumph fork guards. So, that being said, let's giddy up and go. Oh my God, man. So today my big adventure was taking down my Halloween decorations. Like I said, I feel pretty crappy. So I did that. I was feeling a little bit better later on. So I figured I'd wash the bike and lube the chain, and I'll probably do the tension tomorrow. Seems like it needs to be adjusted. So that's about red line right there. I don't know if you can hear that. That was about red line right there. Red line, and this is, excuse me, 6300. And that's a pretty low red line if you ride bikes. Even my BMW had like a 7500, and I never spiked that red line. This one I'll hit first time I rode it. I rented one in San Fran. Wanted to make sure I would like this bike, so I rented one for the day. First merge onto a ramp, I hit the rev limiter, and it sucks when you do that because you pretty much lose all your power for like a second, so the bike just slows down until the RPMs drop. So it's kind of a pain in the ass if you're really trying to pick up. So see what kind of bike we got over there. Somebody riding around with shorts and a t-shirt. That's good. Good protective gear. So yeah, as far as the rev limiter goes though, if you're screwing around racing people and stuff, you might hit it every once in a while. That's happened to me like once or twice. If I ride with Mrs. Smith and we have the comm on, I'm sorry again for this coughing. And she's riding her Ducati. It's got Termi exhaust, so that thing's freaking loud. It sounds like a dragon. Sometimes her exhaust is so loud in my helmet, I can't hear coming through the speakers. I really can't hear when my tach's out, so if I'm trying to hammer it, I will occasionally hit the red line. That happened like once or so on the last trip. But again, if you're not riding around like a nut job, shouldn't have any problems. Tires for this bike, that's another limiting factor, especially not if you don't want to do off-road, but you got two 17-inch rims, one in the front, one in the rear, so that limits your availability of like dual sport tires or aggressive tires. Not to say you can't get them, but you don't have as much of a choice. Most dual sport bikes I think run like a 21 in the front and a 19 in the rear, or 21-17. I bet you that's wrong. Probably saw a 21-19 or 19-17 setup. Cough again, sorry. So yeah, if you're looking to do a lot of aggressive off-road riding, to be honest with you, I don't really think this is the bike, the bike for you. You could get something that has more suspension play and is more set up for off-road riding. But I can't remember. I think I picked this bike up for I'll look for sure, 5,000 maybe. Yeah, I think $5,000. It's a 14. It's a 14, and I bought it. I think, Christ, I can't remember when I bought it. Maybe it was the end of last year or the beginning of this year. I can't really remember. I think it was the end of last summer. So summer of 15. But yeah, I mean, you can't for the price you could buy one of these used for somewhere between $4,200 and let's say $5,500, depending on where you're at, and you could probably put 3 kinds of accessories on the bike and make it pretty badass. Standing on it, I said I got these SW Motec foot pegs. Those are ridiculously expensive. Excuse me, at at 100 and I think like $60. But again, it's not like I'm rich, but I make enough money that that's not going to kill me. And I really like them. They give you much more confidence to stand on. The other ones are kind of like sport bike pegs, the OEM pegs. I guess the issue is that well, not the issue. One of the things is that the foot pegs have 2 positions, a low position and a high position. And I put mine on the high because I was afraid about scraping them. Not that I corner like nuts, but I was concerned maybe I'd scrape them if I was riding up in like twisty areas. Probably not, but that's what my concern was anyway. But I think if so when I stand on the bike now, I probably need risers. But before I do that, I think I'm going to put the foot pegs in the lower position, and I'm hoping that'll give me enough, make me stand a little bit lower in the cockpit, so I won't need to put risers on. And risers wouldn't be a pain in the ass, but it's just that I have this, I don't know if you can see it, I'm not real good at pointing at this thing, but if you can see, I have a power point in there, like a cigarette port, and then I have a ram mount, excuse me, and if so those add, a little bit of space, and you have to put in longer bolts. And my guess is with the risers, that's even going to make things longer. So I'd have to find, I guess they're M8 bolts. And problem of living in the U.S. I won't say comment. I won't say the comment other than our new president. But the problem with living in the U.S. is it's kind of hard to find like stainless steel metric bolts and stuff. At least I've found in small quantities. So anytime I want a bolt for my bike, M8 or something, I wind up getting some bullshit bolt that's zinc or painted, and it always rusts up. So we're look at this asshole gonna come out on me. Clip on him close here. So yeah, I hope this is a good kind of overview of the bike. Would I get this bike again? Yeah, I would get this. Get this bike again without hesitation. I think it's I think it's a great bike. If you're on a budget, I think it's definitely even a greater bike because it's cheaper, and it's got awesome Honda reliability. So I don't expect there to be any issues with this bike for the amount of time that I own it. So next year, that being said, next year I'd love to get an Africa Twin. See if for dirt riding a little bit more, but I'm trying to actually ask myself if that's something I'm really would wind up doing. So not going to split here because I'd rather just run my mouth on the video. So right now I got I got Mrs. Smith's F650 GS single. She got a 700 twin, so the singles available for riding, and thinking about just using that for a while, seeing how much off-road dirt riding I do to see if it's worthwhile for me to get an Africa Twin, because I already have a CRF 250L that I do a lot of dirt riding with. But the problem is I'll go through the hood. The problem is with that is I ride it to a lot of dirt places, and it's only a 250, so sometimes it's a little bit of an adventure getting to where I want to go. 250 doesn't have a lot of get up and go, so it'd be nice to have something a little bit bigger, but again, I don't know if I'll really if I really need that. So, but then again, the world's not always about what you need, it might be about what you want. So wave to Mike. Mike's got a old school gold wing, I think from from maybe like late 60s, early 70s. It's pretty cool. So with that, it's my riding review of the NC. I'm started a YouTube channel, so I'm kind of like a junkie with it now. So just trying to put more content on there. So anyway, peace out!